Hi, everyone. I'm Wiz MacPan, and I'm a senior scientific consultant at BioTeam. I'm here today to talk to you about MLOps and research environments. Now, what is this? Why should you care? Uh, it comes down to this, right? MLOps is the stuff we do to make our machine learning models and AI useful and practical to use and maintain. As for why you should care, it comes down to the fact that things change, right? Like our research is living organisms, complex systems that we often treat like one-off static scripts, and things change. Where you'll get new users, you'll get new data, you'll have new circumstances. You don't want to be in a situation where your drug binding predictor that was 93%, accurate last month is now 72% just because you trained it on new data, like have no reason why. Um, so yeah, that's why this set of practices exists and was developed in the first place. Now, the practices themselves are more of a journey, right? There's kind of it can be striated into many steps and many levels of complexity depending on the nature of your situation, right? So try to find yourself on this map, right? On one end, you have level zero, where humbly we all start at some point, where you have everything's kind of idiosyncratic, one-off, ad hoc deployments, data being moved around and hard to trace, nothing's versioned, not the data, not the code, not the environment, right? Um, and on the other end of the spectrum, you have this model of an automated service that is involved and robust, but is maybe overkill if you're not a high throughput high throughput core portal, um, a clinical app. If you're not part of a large pharmaceutical, in which case this might actually be, I would say there's a level even beyond this for a large pharmaceutical. But that may not be your team, right? This level one is a sweet spot, a great place to start, no matter where you are for the journey, and probably what you want to aim for if you're not one of the higher grade use cases I mentioned. At this point, right, you're versioning everything. You're versioning your data with DVC, which is a kind of a relatively novel thing, but also the fundamentals of like, versioning your code with Git. Um, you're versioning your environment with containerization. You're looking at like Conda and Docker. You're tracking experiments, your training experiments, your evaluations with something like weights and biases or an ML flow, and then you're orchestrating it all with pipelining tools like SnakeMake and Nextflow or Airflow. Now you may be hearing that and go, okay, that's cool. What that got to do? How do I get there? Right, wherever I'm at. If you're at level zero, do the basics, right? And truly, if you haven't done, haven't put your code in a repo before, do that, right? Create a Git repo. Um, a Docker file is pretty effortless to make. This whole process will take you like 10 minutes, and once you've done that, you've made something repeatable for the first time. Uh, tracking logging a file, logging a parameter, excuse me, and takes like 3 lines of code with using the ML flow library. And that'll be your first taste of making things trackable. If you want to get familiar with automating the whole set of steps in your analysis, refactor one script with SnakeMake or Nextflow, and that'll be a great introduction. Now, if you're at level one and want to move on to level two, what I would look at is introducing yourself to GitHub Actions, right? This is a way to auto test your pipeline and stop yourself from catching regressions or bugs, right, in production instead of like during the testing phase. And if you want to introduce yourself to service, the model of sharing your app as a service, I use a stack of fast API and Docker for ease, and that'll really give you a good idea of like how to treat your model as an endpoint for others. Now, everything I introduced is basic steps and quite general, but there's a level beyond in complexity, and I'd love to talk about it with any of you. There's plenty of nuances introduced by whatever your specific circumstances are. So we hope you'll stay in touch and share with us any questions you have on your MLOps journey. But as for right now, thanks for listening.